The following is a presentation of the Beterbiev Sports Media Network.
This is Haymaker Combat Sports. Here, coming straight from the source. Only with the real, they ain't here to dress it up. Sweet science, MMA, you can get it all from us. Trust, 5 stars cause it's live. And through the fight game, we can guide ya. Slick talking, putting them in caution. Passing all the goals cause the audio is awesome. What you waiting for? Spread the word, tell a friend. This the podcast where all of the discussion ends. When they start going strike for strike, this the show that'll tell you what you seen in the fight. And they ain't playing on the mic, this a welcome to the show. Warm it up for the squad, Haymaker of the bros. I'm about wow, you can hear from the pros. It's Haymaker Combat Sports, time to roll.
Welcome back to Haymaker Combat Sports, powered by the Beterbiev Sports Media Network. I'm your host, EJ Reed, joined by my fellow hosts, Steve Johnson, Chris Sanders. What's good, fellas?
What's going on, everybody? Good fights over the weekend, huh?
Yeah, man. It's the first boxing episode of the year. It's been a while, December, so some fights that have been building up since we last had an episode. But like we always do at this time, let's get into some of the stories inside and outside the ring. So since we last had an episode, they announced it's going to be Bud Crawford versus Canelo Alvarez is slated for September. I'm guessing they're targeting the Mexican Independence Weekend. So now that they finally announced it's going to happen in Riyadh, what are y'all thoughts? Perfect timing? Too early? Or maybe they should have held off on this fight? I'll start for you, Chris.
Perfect timing. This is the fight that we want to see finally in boxing, somewhat. I know Bud wants this fight. I don't think Canelo really cares for it personally, but I mean, we need some big name fighters fighting each other, and I think this is one of them of the year. I mean, it's late in the year, but you know, better late than never, I would say.
Well, I get to your thoughts, Steve. Why do you think Canelo doesn't want it, Chris?
I don't think it does anything for Canelo. I think he's already a little bit bigger than Bud. Bud, last fight, he kind of struggled with the bigger guy. Canelo's fought even bigger guys than what Bud fought, took those punches, delivered big punches, knocked out bigger dudes. So it's like Canelo wins, everybody's going to be like, he should have won. The only thing that can happen is Canelo loses, but I mean, it is not a win situation for Canelo. Like, it doesn't, like, he don't need this fight for his legacy. This fight's not a legacy fight for Canelo. It's not something that we've been looking for years. It's not something that, they need to fight each other. This is just a fight. I think it's a money grab. If on anything, it's a good money grab for both fighters, but because you're fighting big name people, but I don't see it as in legacy. It does nothing for Canelo.
Steve, what are your thoughts on this fight being made?
I can agree with that because teams like Canelo has got itself up to make big fights and skillful fights too that he's already established in his past. Versus not saying Crawford isn't established, but I would think, me as a boxing fan, he can extend his list a little bit more, definitely with Canelo. And considering it seems like yesterday, you can kind of consider Canelo one of those OGs because I mean he fought Mayweather. How established can that be? So I can say they're both established fighters, but from where they're at, I can see how Crawford could want this fight.
My issue with it is that what you just said, like, Canelo fought Mayweather. It's kind of like the passing of the torch. Mm-hmm. There's no passing of the torch to Bud. I feel like this is like Bud probably retire after this, or maybe 2 more fights after this. Like, it's not like the passing of the torch. Like, here, boxing's going to be here, and Canelo goes in the sunset now. It's not like that. So I don't see, like, I can see as a fighting fan to see these two fight because they're so great at fight. They're great fighters. Both of them are, but I don't see it like it doesn't do anything for Canelo. I don't see there's no win. Like, if I'm in Canelo's corner, I don't know if we even take this fight, to be honest with you.
But you know what it does for Canelo? It stuffs his pockets. I'm sure definitely probably getting paid 9 figures for this one. If the people over there, Riyadh season got it done as far as I don't know if the contracts were signed, but they scheduled it. So, right, don't you think that has to play a factor, the payday?
Of course, that's why I said it's big. It's a big money fight. It's a big money fight, but we're talking about legacies, and both of those guys made enough money. If they were done with boxing today, they might be all right. But to get that last paycheck out, I mean, I'm not mad at either of them. I would take it too. But again, as the Canelo, you beat Crawford, what happens? People are gonna say you're too big. Like he didn't have a chance against you. He didn't find enough bigger dudes than you. Like I don't know. There's so much criticism that can come with that. I don't know if it helps. It helps. It helps him. And if he lose, it doesn't help either. So like, where's the win at for Canelo on this besides his pocket? I guess.
I mean, if he wins though, even though like you said he's bigger, it's still Bud Crawford. Bud Crawford's probably the most accomplished one in that weight range since Floyd, I guess. Not if you really break it down. Because you had him and Spence going back and forth, who's the best for a while, and then Crawford proved it, and now it's basically just big him.
The thing that hurts Crawford is he didn't get those big name fights early. So he got a lot of fights on his belt, but he didn't get the big name ones. When there was a lot of titles in his weight class, he didn't get those fights. So unfortunately, name his fighters, like name a lot of top of his fighters. I don't like besides Spence.
I mean, who was there really for him to face?
At that time, I mean, at the same time, they didn't want to fight him either. I'm not throwing it out here like he was dodging anybody. They didn't want to fight him, but you have like in that time you had a lot of fighters. It was like belts going around. He fought an old Danny Garcia. He fought who else he fought?
He fought Jeff Horn. Jeff Horn beat Manny. Amir Khan. Kell Brook, Sean Porter.
Well, yeah, I forgot. Yeah, he did do that. I take that back then. I'm going to take that back.
He fought Gamboa.
Yeah.
Back in 2014.
I forgot that run in England that he had, all those England fighters. Yeah, he did do some damage over there. He was a boogeyman. Again, I'm seeing it as a lot of fighters didn't want to fight him, so he didn't get all the big name fights that I think he should have got. That's why I look at it as American fighters that he should have got, but he did get a lot of fights out of the U.S. and things I needed, like those fighters. So I don't know. Bud's in a tough situation. I don't know. He's in a tough situation on a legacy. He's a really good fighter. I love him. He's one of my top fighters to watch. He can go left and right, but there's something there. And I think he does need a Canelo fight, but unfortunately to me, it's like Canelo, not saying he's out, like I don't see it. Like I don't see that. I don't see him establishing being Canelo would make him the great. I don't know. It don't even make him the greatest to me on that.
The greatest as far as like his weight class or like ever?
Where Bud believes he's at, I don't know if the Canelo fight gets him there, if that makes sense.
Maybe. I mean, Canelo still got a big name.
But Canelo caught losses. Canelo, he's going up in weight. I don't know. It just looks different to me. That's all. Personal opinion.
What are your thoughts, Steve?
It seems like me, when I think of it, it seems like Canelo, like Chris said, has more legacy fights and known, and not saying Crawford isn't known over here. Canelo is a very well-known boxer, even in America. And like I said, he's seems like he's been in the limelight more because we've known him since the Mayweather days, and it's upcoming before that. Like I said, Crawford's is established, but as far as like legacy fights, like Errol Spence, of course, Sean Porter, but it's like me as a boxing fan, I can't think off the top of my head, although I know there's more than what Canelo went through, especially somebody still in the game today who fought Mayweather.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead, Chris.
No, I was just thinking like, I just thinking like nobody else. I think that's it. He's the only one.
As far as who Floyd fought,
Yeah, in the game still. That's it.
I'd have to run. I'd have to run down the list. But Canelo, is on the short list. Not a lot of them are still around, because Floyd's been what. Conor McGregor was his last fight. Conor McGregor's not a boxer though, and Conor McGregor's basically retired as well. Yeah, like y'all say, there's not a whole lot of people that are still in the game that Floyd fought. Yeah, because Madonna, he retired and he blew up in weight. Cotto, Vigor Ortiz, Shane Mosley. Yeah, man, makes me feel old. Like all those fighters are basically. Is Berto still fighting?
No.
I think he retired.
Yeah, he's chilling. He's living a good life. I follow him.
I mean,
and he's living a good life.
So 2 fighters that Floyd recently fought. I mean, not recent, but it was back in December of 2023. I mean, we were doing the show at the time. Robert Guerrero and Berto fought back in December, so a year and some change ago. So I don't know. Both of them retired after that, but both of them fought Floyd. Yeah, but like I said, it's a short list, and Canelo fought him early too. And you think about it, Canelo's getting up there in age, so he's kind of in the twilight of his prime. He's on the back end of his prime when he's 34, about to be 35. So
yeah,
time is ticking, especially as far as those legacy fights go. So I'm sure once the fight gets closer, start getting more excited for it. But yeah.
Well, who do you got winning?
Who I got winning? I don't know. Canelo is the bigger fighter, and if the fight sticks together, once we do the preview of the show, preview of the fight, I'll have a better opinion. I got to see how they're looking going towards it. They're so far ahead of it. There's no telling the fight either gonna be held together. We know how the fight game goes.
Yeah,
something happens, somebody pulls out. Even with the card this past weekend, it was 2 fights that crumbled on the week of the fight. So yeah, once we get closer to it, I'll get an opinion formed on who I think is gonna take it. But like I said, Canelo is the bigger fighter in this one, so he probably has an advantage. But I'll give a little bit more opinion on Canelo taking that fight once we talk about the quick hits. But before we get into that, Bleacher Report posted 6 boxing fights we want to see in 2025. I'm going to go through the list, and then I'll get both of you to pick what's on the top of your list as far as the 6 fights that they listed. So they have Tyson Fury versus Anthony Joshua listed on the list. Both of them have taken L's recently. They got a fight we just talked about, Canelo and Terrence Crawford on there. And they have Naoya Inoue versus Jesse Rodriguez on there. Amanda Serrano, Katie Taylor 3 on there. Moses Itoma versus Alexander Usyk, so for the undisputed heavyweight crown for that one. And then last on the list, Conor McGregor and Jake Paul. So out of those fights, what's on the top of the list for you, Chris?
Amanda, round 3, run that back.
Oh yeah, okay. What's your reasoning behind?
Both fights been great. Action, probably one of the best fights. It was probably the best fight on their card each time. So, and probably one of the fights of the year to me. So run those back, and maybe Anthony, because we haven't seen it. Anthony Joshua,
and
what's his name?
Tyson Fury.
Yeah, Tyson Fury. Yeah, Tyson Fury. We haven't seen that yet, so why not let them run it?
What say you, Steve?
I like his pick, Serrano, but I would like to see Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury. That's one people have been asking for a long time. The other one's still a little bit recent and was a good fight. So, anticipation is good, but it's still resonating. Their last fight, it still feels like yesterday. With Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury feels like a long wait. So 1, and then Serrano 2. Who are the other ones?
Yeah, in the way versus Jesse Rodriguez. Yeah, Idomov versus Usyk for the undisputed heavyweight title, and then Jake Paul and Conor McGregor.
I would like to see Usyk, next, and then Inoue, and then the Conor McGregor and Jake Paul probably be my last.
Wow, that's a lot of hurdles for that to even happen as far as McGregor's legal battles outside of the cage, and then if Dana White would even let him do that. So I don't see that happening at all. But as far as I think, I want to say, even though the luster is kind of worn off it, I guess I'd have to go Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua at the top of the list, just because that was the super fight to make before both of them started catching L's, starting off with Joshua, and he lost to Andy Ruiz.
Both former champions. I think it'll be good.
What was that? What was that, Chris?
Both former champions. I think they'll be good, man. That'll be good.
Well, time is ticking for both of them. I think Fury has been flirting with retirement, even though no stakes are on the line. It's like kind of a semi, legacy fight, because both of them were supposed to fight a while ago, and they're both from UK, and I'm sure they'll put that in Wembley. Probably have 90,000 people in that, but it should have happened 5 years ago. And I kind of blame Wilder for it, because when Joshua won the belts back from Ruiz, they were about to make it, and then Wilder invoked his rematch clause and stopped the fight. And I was kind of upset at that, but it is what it is, Hopefully they can make that fight happen if both of the guys, settle on some terms on what they want out of the fight. And, it's always about the bag, so we'll see what happens with that in the future. But let's get into some of these quick hits for fights that happen, the bigger fights that happened since the last time we did a show. Back on February 1st, we had David Benavidez defending his WBC interim title against David Morrell, and he also won the WBA light heavyweight title. And this fight was a good back and forth. It was fought in a phone booth, and you could see David Benavidez getting the best of Morrell, but Morrell, he didn't sit there and just concede the fight. Like when you think that Benavidez was about to get him out of there, Morrell did enough to, show that he had fight, and he was firing back. But man, Benavidez hits hard, and it was just overwhelming. You could see Morrell kind of running out of gas towards the end of the fight, and Benavidez was basically just having his way with him. Like I said, it was like a lot of rock'em sock'em in this one. It was fought in the phone booth. What were your thoughts on this one, Chris?
It was a fun fight to watch. They were very engaged with each other. They were fighting in the phone booth most of the time. They weren't running. They took a lot of big hits. Both fighters took a lot of big hits. I was very impressed with the other fighter, not Benavidez, the other guy. I really never watched him fight, so watching him in that stage was pretty good to watch. I think he'll have other fights that, I'm more of his fan now, so I'll watch other of his fights. But this fight was good. Benavidez just seemed a little bit more busier to me at the end. Just seemed more, his shots looked like they hit a little bit harder to me, and that's why I thought he got the edge.
Steve?
Yeah, definitely a good fight. I would have to definitely agree. It seems like Benavidez was those punches were digging a little bit deeper. Although Morrell, he was coming back and firing, amongst the chaos. Just when you thought he was on back off the ropes or trying to take a pause, he's doing intelligent possum, and come back with combos and getting back with him. He got caught as far as Benavidez, but I guess the fight not so much evened out, but I think Morrell lost a point for hitting late after the bell, and that was unexpected. But he did hit him late after the bell after a round, and they
Yeah.
took him.
So yeah, so that 11th round, he hit him way late, and the ref took a point. I mean, that's how it should be. In MMA, they always give a warning, but he took that point after the 11th round, and I mean, that was super late, like you said, and he could have got hurt. I didn't mean to interrupt. You could go ahead, Steve, and continue.
Yeah, he was pretty tough, but he did hit him with a pretty good wide open shot. It was chaos, but the bell did ring, and he swung one more and got him pretty good. But other than that, it was a justified win. Seemed like he was the aggressor more and had him on his back feet. Most of the fight, he established his dominance. So big ups to Beterbiev for that win.
So, like I said, circle back around to Canelo. But before we get into that, this was Benavidez's second fight at light heavyweight. Back when he was fighting at 168 super middleweight, he didn't go to a lot of decisions. He was getting them out of there. And even in this fight, he was hitting them with some hard shots, but dude wasn't going down. And the same thing for the Alexander fight when he was his first light heavyweight fight. He was hitting with some shots. And like I said, both fighters weren't, going down like they were when he was at 168 at super middleweight. So you think those 7 pounds are, making a big difference in that power, that translating going up in divisions, Chris?
Yeah, definitely. You find bigger dudes than you were before. So, and a lot of the times those guys from that 7 pound can't lose that extra 7 pounds to go down to a lower weight. So you're finding even bigger dudes. So on that point, everybody's at that level loses weight to go down and fight. We all know they don't walk around that fight weight, but these guys are solid. They're comfortable in their weight. He's not fighting nobody off the street. He's fighting some good fighters as we're seeing. So it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough for him to knock these guys out. He's going to have to get used to delivering hard punches on these guys and, just figuring it out. But I think he'll figure it out. He throws punches in bunches. He throws hard punches, even if they are bigger than him. So it's going to connect, and then he'll figure it out. I think he'll be all right.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, there was a second fight. He's still younger, so maybe I think he's like 28 or 27. So maybe once he settles in, and that power will start to come through, and he'll start stopping some of these guys at 175. But like I said, I'm circling back around to the Canelo topic. Do you think, because everybody wants to see Canelo versus David Benavidez, do you think Canelo was strategic by taking the Crawford fight instead? Because it'll probably be an easier fight because Crawford is smaller, and everybody's saying he's ducking Benavidez. I've been saying that for the past 2-3 years. What do you think, Chris?
Is he ducking him though?
I think so.
I think so. You think Canelo's scared to fight him?
Yeah, I think he's scared.
I don't think so. I don't think so at all.
Even if he's not straight up, it's like scared. I think he thinks it's a low reward, high risk fight.
I think any fight that Canelo gets in is a low reward risk fight. There's no fight that he can get into. I don't think so. I think, especially now that you see him up in weight class and he's not doing the damage he used to do. I want to see the threat there if I'm Canelo.
Although Canelo has fought at 175, he fought Bivol at 175. His weight class is 168, and I think David Benavidez would definitely go back down to 168 to fight Canelo. And if you saw how they were fighting the phone booth, you think Canelo wants to get hit like that?
But Canelo's so good. You think he's gonna fight in the phone booth with him?
Benavidez might bring it to him. Like, you might not have a choice.
I don't know. Canelo hit hard, man. He ain't that soft. We'll see. I don't think Canelo's scared of him. I don't. I don't agree. I don't think so. That's my opinion.
What do you think, Steve?
I can see your angle, what you're saying. What are the better odds? A Crawford, who's more, I would say, counter-puncherish, taking lower risk than what we saw with Benavidez. Benavidez was in there and, like you said, was in the phone booth and was willing to take hits and to knock somebody out. I would say any fighter would try to avoid that altercation with a fighter and have a more slow-paced, thought-out. Because when there's more chaos in the fight, it's just leaves more room for error. And I think maybe even Canelo knows that because Benavidez was swinging him in that last fight he just had.
Like Tyson said, they've been beat as this Mexican monster. Nobody wants to fight him. Man, Canelo probably taking Mike's words to heart, man. He might not. I don't know if he wants that. Like I said, he's not scared to fight anybody, but he knows if he goes to Crawford, like Crawford has a chance of beating him, but Crawford's probably not going one punch knock him out. If Crawford wins, it'll probably be like a decision. So,
you think Canelo's gonna get one punch knocked out?
He could. David Benavidez, yeah, he could. I think he could.
I haven't seen Canelo get knocked out yet.
It's because Canelo's been the bigger fighter in a lot of his fights, and besides the Bivol fight, and Bivol is like a volume guy. From the fights I've seen, Bivol,
he's fought like big. Canelo's last 3 fights, haven't all the fighters been bigger than him?
I'd have to look. I know Bivol was
size-wise, everybody's been bigger than him in the last 3 fights.
So
he's only 5'9". He ain't that big. These guys are 6 feet, 6'1", 6'2".
He's listed at 5'7.5", actually.
He might even be small. See,
so
these guys is huge. He's fighting.
So Berlanga was bigger. Charlo, he fought Charlo. Charlo's taller, but Canelo's bigger. Charlo fights with 154 a lot of times too. It's little Charlo, not big Charlo. He fought little Charlo.
Still at the same time, Canelo's coming from 145.
He fought Munguia was bigger.
Yeah, everybody he fights pretty much bigger than him.
And let's see, John he was bigger than John Ryder. So, you know, when he later on in his career, he was fighting bigger people. But definitely, I think he was fighting in a too big of a weight class when he's fighting those fights at light heavyweight.
Yeah, that's too big.
So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. He's not fighting them for a reason, and he's fought other fighters with less of a name than David Benavidez. So I don't understand why he isn't want to take that fight. I don't get it. Crawford, of course, is a bigger name than Benavidez, but besides that, it's like the second biggest name as far as prospects, unless he tries to double back and maybe try to vie for the Bivol Beterbiev. I don't see him wanting to go down that route again, but we'll see. And speaking of Benavidez's other option, we'll circle back around. We recap the main event this past weekend, but moving on to a fight that happened the day after the Benavidez fight on February 2nd, we had Clarissa Shields defeating Danielle Perkins. She retained the WBC and WBF female heavyweight titles and won the vacant IBF WBO titles and won the inaugural WBA female heavyweight titles. And I mean, this was a pretty dominant win for Shields. She was going in there. She was throwing a lot of haymakers in there. She kind of dropped her in that 3rd round, but I think she stumbled back on. It looked like she kind of stumbled back on the referee. But I mean, basically, like I said, she was showing her dominance throughout the fight, and then in that last round with like 10 seconds left, she clearly dropped her, and it was a good way to cap that fight off. And like I said, she was able to win the undisputed heavyweight championship in the women's division. What were your thoughts on this one, Chris?
She was dominant the whole fight. Showed her presence, being the stronger woman there. You know, I was just amazed watching her opponent take those punches and not getting out of there. for most of the fight. Like, ooh, you just seeing the punches she was getting hit with. So you're like, ooh. And you're just waiting for her to get knocked out, but it just never came. So her opponent was actually she has a tough chin. I know she was dropped in the last round or the 11th round. I forgot which round it was, but I remember her hitting the floor real quick. But she had a good chin the whole fight, and she was in there. She was throwing punches back. She didn't go out.
Steve?
Yeah, she did a very good job avoiding the bigger woman's power. You could see she was trying to inflict her size and try to be in her face and walk her down. And sometimes we get her on the ropes, but Clarissa would work her way out with a haymaker or slipping way out. Like you said, I didn't know if she was still dizzy. I have to look back at it again, or she tripped on the ref. She fell back in those earlier rounds, and then at the end, to close the show, it turned her TV off for a few milliseconds, and she came back on. But like you said, she's a tough woman. Clearly, what was it, a pull counter hook or something like that? She pulled that punch that she threw, and literally you see her R's go limp and her legs go limp. I think that was a good way to close out the round, and I think that was the last round, wasn't it, when she did that?
Yeah, that
Right before the bell. I know it was before the bell.
That was the last round.
Yeah,
the 10th round.
Yeah, and I think that may be one of her first intimidating looking opponents as far as size and durability. I have to remember her last fights, but this
is her second heavyweight fight, so she's fighting bigger women now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, she was definitely bigger, but she did a good job. She was easily the fastest looking fighter out there, and of course she has enough power to touch you too. So I think that's definitely what benefited her win that night.
So a lot of those haymakers she was throwing look kind of wild. But what do you think about her technique, Chris? Because like I said, a lot of those
I don't know how often she fights bigger opponents than her. So she got to get the range to them. She got to get up there. I think I just seen a person just being busy, not on survival mode, but just being busy, just trying to get to her opponent. She delivered a good fight. I mean, she was throwing them out there, kept her opponent honest. Like, if I walk into one of these, I'm gonna get hurt. So she kept her opponent honest. I mean, that was her strategy. It worked, and that's why she came out victory.
So one criticism for Shields, and this was from Layla Ali, because they always have the greatest of all time talks, and Layla Ali's criticism is that, like, when Layla was fighting, she was getting them out of there. But 16 pro fights, Shields only had 3 stops. She had won her last fight, but before that, like, it was like her very early fights. She's been a decision machine. And what do you say to that criticism, Chris?
A win's a win. I'll take them and go.
You think that when people start talking about greatest of all time, and that kind of a small asterisk, because her fighting style is not like she's Mayweather and like some defensive machine. She goes in there and actually tries to swing in there, and going to decision.
That's another thing. So we're gonna go. I'm sure we're gonna talk about another fighter that gets wins that don't knock anybody out later on this. But I like at one point, are you gonna? I'm winning. I'm a winner. That's all I can look at, right? I don't got no losses. I'm winning. I'm winning my fights. Sometimes I knock them out. Not everybody can knock out their opponents. And she's not even it's not like she's not going in and throwing punches. She's trying to knock them out. It's not like she's not throwing punches. So, hey, a W is a W. I'll take them.
Steve?
Yeah, I could say, because of fans, they'll love you one day and then hate you another day. We witnessed Mayweather sort of getting a treat in his early career, and was swinging them and not getting them out of there. And then you see he changed up his style and was more safety for his head health or mental. And you see people talked about him and said he was running. Like you said, people are gonna hate you, but that so-called record you have will still last as a undefeated, and that's what people are gonna remember. And of course, she probably has a few legacy fights that people remember, but definitely they're just gonna remember she's undefeated.
Yeah, and she also mixes it up in the case too. She's with PFL as well. But some story that unfolded after the fight: Michigan Unarmed Combat Commission suspended Shields after she tested positive for marijuana. So,
I didn't know that.
What are y'all thoughts on that? I'll start for you, Chris.
Well, it's not a performance drug. I know that. It's marijuana we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
I don't. How long does that stuff stay in your system for? I don't know when she took it.
It
Not
can
like
stay
the night
up.
before, right?
It can stay up depending on your body fat ratio. It can stay up in your system to 30 days.
30 days. I don't know. She might have had an injury. She could have took it. There's other ways of form. She probably didn't even smoke it. She could have took edible. I know there's drinks about it now. Like, it doesn't help her perform better. So I don't see it as a problem. Like in this sport, I know other sports are allowing it now. It's like football and basketball now allowing this in their sports. I'm not too sure.
I know. Is it football? One of them they don't even test anymore. I want to say it's basketball for sure.
That's it. Yeah, I mean, and there's certain states like Colorado that's illegal in, and other states, I'm sure California, I think it's fine over here as well. I mean, it doesn't, to me, you're not harming the person she's fighting against, right? If it's a steroid or another type of drug, performance, like anything that can enhance her performance, then I'll have a problem with it. But I don't know if that, like, marijuana doesn't enhance her performance. Like, she won't be a better fighter with it. So I don't see the problem with it.
The people that are against it say that it will, numb your pain receptors and make you be able to take more punishment with it. What's your counter to that?
I don't know. I never fought. I wasn't high. Never did any drugs. So I fought as a regular person. I don't know anybody. From my knowledge of the drug, it makes people lazy. I don't know. And I see people get relaxed. That's why a lot of athletes would want to use it, because maybe they're out working it. So that could be a possibility. Again, I don't know when she took it. She could have took it 30 days prior because she had an injury. It is all little nicks and bumps that you catch around maybe 10 days before the fight. It's not to me. I don't see it as something that can harm me. If I'm doing more damage to you, that's on you. I could give you more punches. I can knock you out. That's on you. But I don't see it as a reverse where it will give that person the advantage of punching me harder or do anything to me. Then I can see an issue with it.
Steve?
Yeah, I can definitely. A lot of athletes are experimenting with marijuana and what to do with it, as far as muscle relaxer, pain, but because I don't want to. It doesn't seem like she would be a smoker, because she hasn't been in trouble as far as like for her drug test for this. Jokingly saying it could be because her new man Papoose, and it was a Papoose smoker, and got her to smoking him.
Probably wasn't even her, right? She was just in the room, secondhand smoke.
Yeah,
Steve beat me to it. I was about to mention that.
I don't even think of that. It was just secondhand smoke. That wasn't even me.
That could be very possible, man. So, and what are the odds? Newly coupled, she got hit for some a THC on her drug test. But jokingly saying that, definitely could have been for some pain. And I wouldn't imagine you would get an advantage. If not, I mean, I guess there is some marijuana that's good for your mental, and it makes you more alert. Maybe that, but mostly, like you said, you'll be relaxing. I would think you would dampen your reflexes more than anything.
Yeah, it probably affect your reflexes. They say they have strains that make you more alert, but I think they show studies the actual physical, like their reaction times are slower. I mean, it's not a non-story, but I think I don't see it that big of a deal. They still don't know if they're going to strip her belts or not because it's the Michigan Commission. But UFC doesn't test for it anymore. It's big on UFC, so I don't see why boxing doesn't do the same thing. I feel like studies show that the benefits of cannabis and marijuana use as far as healing, as far as any type of ailments that you have, physical ailments, and it's a lot safer and more natural than taking a bunch of painkillers. So yeah, I don't even know why these boxing commissions are still tested for it.
Well, look at the reverse of that though. Like, say if I'm running the league and you come in high and you can't perform and you get hurt. Like, your eye clock hurt, right? Like, I don't know what goes with that, but you want to put, as someone running the league, you want to put the best product out there. So I can see, I don't know how they could test for it. You said it's 30-something days, so I can't test you 5 days before to make sure you don't have it in your system. So it's 30 plus days. I don't know, like you can't took it 30 days ago, so it's gonna be hard to judge it. But you don't want the person coming in super high on the fight, reflexes all messed up, they get knocked out the ring. I mean, it is on the fighter at that point, but I guess you try to prevent as much as possible.
It's been legal in the UFC for a few years now, and there hasn't been any examples of fighters coming in high or anything like that.
That's a strong take I took. I mean, I'm taking a strong take. I doubt anybody that's ready to fight is going to get super high. I'm just taking a strong fight. Like maybe that one crazy out of nowhere, he only got it's a 3 or 4 rounder. He's just a high guy, a person that gets high all the time. I'm going to get high before the fight. And, he's not a main card or nothing. I'm just talking about that random, not the superstars or nothing like that.
Well, I'm sure Nate or Nick Diaz have probably came in high. I wouldn't put that past them. And
okay,
we hadn't seen them look like just disheveled and just out of it or anything. But I might be speculating, but they are known advocates of marijuana and they were behind it getting legalized in UFC. So I don't know. I think being high is a little bit different from being like drunk. So I think you could probably hide it a lot more. You won't see people like stumbling or anything. Like if anything, like their reactions will be a little bit slower, and that's on them. They're assuming the risk. So I don't think there'd be any like liability on as far as the the commissions or the promoters goes. But if for some reason like somebody was in there super high and they found out, I'm sure they just won't get any high profile fights or they'll get cut from their promoting team. I feel like it's an easy fix if somebody were to take super advantage of it. But like I said, the benefits seem like they outweigh the disadvantages. So we'll see what happens with her. Hopefully she doesn't get stripped of the title. And if she does, then she's still young. She'll be able to win it back her next fight. But we'll see. But moving on to this card that happened this past weekend out there in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, Beterbiev versus Bivol 2. And I don't know if this is going to be a new trend, but you usually see this like almost like a UFC model. This card was stacked with a bunch of known names. And I don't know, you think this is the new wave that the Riyadh season is going to try to stack a lot of these cards up now with known fighters like this? Because you usually only see maybe a co-main event, main event, but we saw like five fights with known fighters. You think this is going to be the norm going forward, Chris?
Yeah, this is how you sell the fight. You want to give people the night of watching this, good fight night, good fight weekend, get prepared to sit down with your family, your friends, and whoever to watch the fight. So I love it. I think it's good for, UFC that they copy this model and now boxing's doing it. So this is great.
You think we see more of this going forward, Steve?
I think so. Although I wasn't able to see it live, looking back at it, I would definitely be excited watching because I definitely knew a lot of names even a name that's not even popular. I knew him from a previous, I think, a Usyk or a Gervonta fight they had in Saudi Arabia. But definitely a lot of people on the card, and they also brought it to the TV. You know, it made a good show for everybody too. Mostly, a lot of knockouts, a lot of people getting after it, and I think I would like to see the numbers, but I think that was a very hype card, and I think that's how you promote it. Get back-to-back good people, or at least stretch it out to, like you said, 5 people on the card are very known, to just keep people attention to the whole pay-per-view.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know if this will be the norm going forward, but I think they'll probably try to do it like at least once or twice a year, have these cards, just because schedules sometimes clash and fighters aren't ready sometimes. But I think we'll probably see maybe 3 at the most, but we'll see a card or 2 that are just stacked fighter after fighter after fighter like this, and which is a good thing. Like, it'll have people tuning in, and I think the price for this pay-per-view wasn't that bad either. I think it was like $29.99 or maybe $39.99, which is on the cheaper side as far as pay-per-view goes, because Floyd got the prices up where like $99, which is ridiculous. People were paying for it. But talking about the actual fights on this card, so Virgil Ortiz retained his WBC interim super welterweight title against Israel Madrimov. And we talked about Madrimov when he faced Crawford. We did a show back in August or late July when Crawford beat Madrimov. Virgil Ortiz is only 26 years old, and people have been kind of saying like he's next up, and some people have been wanting him to maybe take on Crawford. But do you think Ortiz will get that fight before Crawford, retires, Chris?
I don't know. I think Crawford's looking past a few fighters. There's a few people that have been calling out Crawford, and he's just worried about the Canelo fight and getting out of here, I think.
I mean, what do you think, Steve?
What's that question again?
Ortiz is still young. People have been wanting him to fight Crawford, at 154. You think that fight happens before Crawford retires?
Just looking at it, seems that he's 26, right?
Yep.
And Crawford is 37. I think Crawford would be good as far as like wrist wide, but this is a young person. Look probably hungry too. But I don't think it would be a big of a risk. And like I said, if he wins this fight, he can that can definitely be an option for him, because I can't think of anybody else. That would be an option for Crawford after if he beats Canelo for the table for him. So I could see it.
Yeah, I mean, it might. When those bright lights come on, it's a different animal. So Ortiz he looked good in this fight. I mean, not a whole lot of fireworks, but he did what he needed to do. Crawford's a different animal, though, man. He might be too soon.
My bad. How was the other fighter getting all these fights?
Madrimov?
Yeah, I don't like. He's only got like 9 fights. How is he getting all these good fighters? Like, how is he ranked so high to me with only 10 fights or 9 fights? How is he fighting Crawford with 9 fights? How is he fighting this guy with 10? Like the match, how's that happening? Did he have a belt when he fought Crawford?
Yeah, he had the 154 WBA light middleweight title.
Okay, there we go. That's what I was trying to figure out.
But him getting that title fight after that was his 11th fight when he got that, but when he won the belt,
he only has.
That's kind of a fast track to major 4 title. So he, sometimes like a lot of times they'll have extensive amateur backgrounds and now kind of fast track them when they go pro.
Mm-hmm.
So that might be Madrimov's case.
Yeah, because he just jumped right in, and by fight number, like you said, fight number 11 or 12, he's already fighting Crawford. Like, whoa. And then I'm looking at this fight. I'm like, wait, how do you only got 12 fights or 11 fights and you're fighting this guy with 23 fights? But like, it's just, shout out to him. Good for him. Glad that he's getting the opportunity to do this. But then we just see the domination from one fighter to the other. We just see that there's levels to this. And
yeah.
that's catching.
Do you think that's a result of a good manager?
Yeah, I mean, he got
connected manager.
It looks like a connected manager. And again, like EJ, I don't know his background in amateur boxing, but you know, he came out of nowhere and he's got a title fight. You know, these guys, I know people that are still fighting to this day that I used to fight with and haven't got a title fight at all. Haven't got close to it. And they're undefeated. They got 22 fights. They're 22-0. 30-2 and stuff like that. And this guy got 10 fights, getting title fights and just fighting Crawford and fighting this person. It's like, whoa, what's like not to knock him at all, but you know, when he's losing fights lopsided by the judges, you know, it shows. It's not even like I don't want to diss him because he only has 10 or 12 fights in front of people. I'm sure he's a good fighter because he was taking a lot of good punches from Crawford. I didn't see the last fight, but I'm just looking at the scorecard, and it looked very lopsided for one fighter, not for him. So it's just like, all right, how's he getting these fights now, guys? Like, you can't be fighting these guys with more experience with you in the ring. I think you need to get around like to the 15 fighters or the like 18 fighters, not the guys with 30. Crawford got 40-something fights. How is someone with 10 fights fighting Crawford?
Yeah, that's a good point. And you know, like Lomachenko had like 100 amateur fights. He had 2 gold medals and 2 Olympics.
But he lost his first. He lost his first fight.
His pro fight.
Yeah, he lost his first pro fight to that Mexican.
It was a second. It was a second
one.
Oh,
second one he lost.
Yeah, he lost it early.
Yeah, I know he lost.
Salido.
But see what I mean by that? Salido did what? Showed him how to be a pro.
Yeah,
beat him with pro tactics, not the amateur tactics. That's the difference, you know. Show him, hey, this is how you fight pros, and he won the pro fight.
Yeah, that's true.
Some of these amateurs, the pro don't know how to fight as a pro, and they gotta learn how to fight as a pro. It's a different game.
Yeah, and like I said, I don't even think Madrimov's background in amateur was as extensive as Lomachenko. So maybe he had good management, like Steve was alluding to earlier. I don't know, fighting for the vacant world title and 11 fights, kind of crazy work, and then the Crawford fight as your 12th, it's kind of crazy work. But
yes,
yeah. But been put in that position, so he got the rub, and now he's in these higher profile fights. So we'll see what happens with him and Ortiz in the future. But moving on to another high profile fight in this card. We had Shakur Stevenson. He defeated a replacement fighter. It was a couple of replacement fighters in this one. This one in the co-main event. It's supposed to be Floyd Schofield, but last minute, Josh Padley. I think he's from the UK. Josh Padley, exactly.
Ooh.
He replaced Floyd Schofield last minute due to illness from Floyd, and he stepped up within like 3 days' notice and took the fight. So you got to give him props for that. But as far as that's the only positive she could really take in that one, because Shakur Stevenson was able to retain that WBC lightweight title, and Shakur did a good job of mixing it up. He was popping that jab and digging to the body the whole fight. It was tough times when he was getting hit, but was returning with a fighter as far as Padley goes. Like, he didn't just sit there and lay down and take it, but you could see it just wearing down on him. And then those accumulation of shots did too much of a toll when it got to that 9th round. And I think he dropped them 3 times in that round with those body shots. It was bad. And then his corner did what they needed to do and threw in the towel as they should have, because it wouldn't have ended pretty if he would have went back in there for the 10th round. And Stevenson did what he needed to do. And like you were talking about earlier, I guess a lot of his criticism was not being able to stop people, but he was able to stop this guy. What were your thoughts on this one, Chris?
I'm gonna give him credit on this one, and I judge him. I know some people were being very, like, thinking that he should knock this guy out. He came out of nowhere. He only had 3-day notice, but that could hurt you too as a fighter, having a 3-day notice on someone you don't know or someone you wasn't prepared to fight. You really don't know nothing. You've been training to fight this one fighter, and now you got a 3-day notice to fight this new guy, and all your training that you've been doing, all those spars, all the people you've been fighting, been imitating another fighter. Now you're just 3 days and you're not sparring nobody. You're not fighting against nobody. You're not training nobody. You're already in fight. You're there. So you can't pick. You have to just, now it's all visual things that you've seen him fight before and things you know about him. So that could be a really hard fight for him. But he did what he was supposed to do. He got him out of there. So I don't really got nothing bad to say about him this time. I think he's a good fighter, and I don't get mad even if he does win. Like, I'm not a person. A win's a win. Knockout or 12 round, a win's a win. So I'm happy for him. I'm glad he got the win. I'm glad he was able to put someone down. Because if he didn't put him down and this guy would have went through the whole 12 rounds, oh man, it'd been really bad for him. So I'm glad that he got this outcome for himself.
Steve?
Yeah, I was about to say he didn't coast at all. He was like I said, he was digging those punches in, especially to the body, getting them, trying to get him out there. And you got to give him respect for that. He didn't try to coast on an easy fight because he was in a blind eye in a fight, that was canceled and has a whole new opponent. I think he executed the plan well for what he had to do. And from what other fights I saw, I can say this is one of this more aggressive sides we've seen of Shakur. And I think even for his toughness, I don't know if it's official, I think he even damaged his hand during the fight. So to still give us that shows his heart. And we just need to see styles between fighters to make the best come out of people. And I think we just still waiting for that for Shakur.
Yeah, I'm sure he's probably got some critics just because people be like, well, that should have happened because it was a last minute replacement, somebody who got up off his couch and did it. But these are still pros, so I mean, what if he wouldn't have knocked? It's like damn if you do, damn if you don't. If you do stop him, people are like, oh, you should have did it. But then if it went to decision, people would have should have done him. So,
and people got when it comes to that with the pros. There's people working out day to day for this opportunity. Like, there's fighters that are in gyms all across the world just waiting for someone to get called out to fight so they could be ready to fight. That's why some people are in fight shape all year round. That's what I'm telling you. I know guys that are 22 and old that you never heard of, but that they get that phone call like, hey, this guy dropped out. Can you go? Are you ready? Can you make this weight in time? Yeah, I'll make it. I'm ready. I can go right now. And they're ready to go. So there's people that are fighting all the time just to stay in shape. So, his opponent was no slouch. I'm sure he was ready. I'm sure he was in fight shape as he did 9 rounds. He just fought a tough fighter, but, he was there. He was ready to go. And we've seen a lot of upsets like that. That's why it's kind of scary to fight these guys, because you've been preparing for somebody else. And you got some guy in the gym that's a gym hog. Like, he just fights everybody that comes in. He's in shape. You don't know what you're about to get. It can get scary for you. So you can end up losing those fights.
Yeah. Like it's a dangerous, risky sport. Like you said, you could lose, but Stevenson took care of business. So is it time for him to step up the, I guess, name and level of opponent? Because you got some hitters and like hovering around that weight class. You got Tank Davis there, but you got a couple guys that went up. Haney went up. Teofimo went up, but I'm sure if the price was right, maybe they might go back down. Who knows? Ryan Garcia, I think his his suspension's probably coming up soon. Didn't they announce him versus Haney, or are they trying to get that fight done? Not Haney. It's supposed to be Garcia versus.
They flirted with the Haney one too.
He already fought Haney, but Garcia's supposed to have a comeback fight soon, but I can't remember who it was. It wasn't Haney because he already fought Haney.
Well, Stevenson, the problem with him is he wants to be the A card or even field, and none of the fighters I think see him as the A card because they don't think he could sell tickets on his own. So I feel like what I've been hearing from the arguments is you can't sell. So the beef is I'm not going to put you on a card and we're going to go 50-50 or have you as an A card. No, I'm an A card and you're like a B or C card. And he's going to have to give up that leverage to fight one of these guys before he earns that leverage. I think he has to earn that leverage for any fight that he goes forward. I think he wants to come in there going 50-50 if the person's even because he is a good fighter. He is undefeated. But I think the fighters that he's looking to fight, they're not going to take that. I think they're going to make him be a B or a C just to get him at that low level of pay. And he's got to eat that to get those big fights.
Go before we get into that debate. I was right. It is Haney versus Garcia too.
Second round. Yeah, second round.
I mean, I get why they're doing it. It's because Ryan Davis popped dirty, but I don't know. Are y'all interested in that rematch?
Now, if you get hit with that hook again, he get hit with that hook one more time, it's over. He had no answer for that. I think Devin would be a little bit more prepared. I think he'll be working on it. He got a lot to prove. To us. He lose again, and he lose like that again, and the boy don't pop, then he gonna have to leave this one alone.
Do you?
Yeah, I've heard that argument to where the seem skillful wise one decided to where they're saying even without it, it probably would have been a one-sided match. That's the thing that's lingering for him, that he did pop. So we're really gonna have to see. Because like you said, if he loses this, it ain't no excuse. And before the popping, and we heard about it, it seemed like he had his worst time of his life. I think his first loss, right? And really hearing a sad story from the Haney side, especially from his dad. But it seems like they hyped back up when they figured out the news that he popped. So they got a resurgence, and I bet you he's probably in the lab now and say, we got a second chance. And if we lose, it's going to be real bad because that was our excuse.
Yeah, but that swing, that's his move, that's his shot. So he hits him with that hook again. He gonna remember getting hit with that hook, regardless of getting popped or not. So we're gonna see who he really is because that hook is coming. We all know that's his favorite move. Garcia throws it all the time. That's his move. Tank even talked about it. You got to move away. You got to go this. You got to dodge it. That's what he's going to come with. So it's going to be thrown. So we're going to see he's going to take it. We're going to see if he's going to take it well.
Yeah. I mean, I guess so. Just because the way it ended him popping hot. But like you said, if he gets caught and like you said, he passes all the tests, Haney's going to look foolish. I don't know where he goes from after that. He's gonna be a meme. He's gonna be on TikTok. Everybody's gonna be posting that if that happens to him. But guess we'll see. But as far, going back to Stevenson, I don't think we see him in like a high profile fight on the other side of the table anytime soon. He's still young. What he was 27, 26.
Ain't young.
I mean, it's fairly young.
He should be the number one. He should be in those talks. He should be in those fights. 27, going to 28. He got to be in those fights. It's not him. He's calling them out, but I think his camp don't want to take. They're gonna have to take an L. That's what it is. They're gonna have to take the L to get that first fight, and they don't see the point of that. Like you could still just keep winning, and these guys will be flushed out where he'll just be the big dog anyway, and everybody's gonna have to bark off his tree because he's gonna get all the belts or he's gonna win all the things because he's just winning fights right now. So He'll be the man one day.
Like Floyd kind of changed the like landscape as far as the model of like, you know, you want to maximize your winning your earning potential before you take those like quote unquote super fights. So I think Stevenson's just gonna keep taking mandatories before we even hear any whispers of him and Tank. I guess, and then it all depends. I guess we'll see what Tank does this weekend. But yeah, I could see this fight, if they do fight, not having to like at least 2027. I think he's gonna keep taking mandatories. But you know, I mean, if you're looking at it from a selfish perspective, you can't blame some of these fighters, I guess. But from a fan perspective, we want to see those fights. Like you said, Chris, we want to see those fights happen sooner than later. And it's just going to take one generation to start fighting each other to kind of break that mold. Even with Crawford and Spence, we didn't get that fight until they were like mid-30s.
Politics, man.
Yeah, boxing politics.
You know, that's the thing about the UFC. There's no politics.
Oh, yeah.
Boxing got too much.
Uncle Dana makes them fight because, you know, it's an actual organization, not run by promoters. And that was the mold boxing was made. It was a gift and a curse, but we'll see. Let's move on to the co-main event. Another fight that had a replacement fight. It's supposed to be Joseph Parker versus Daniel Dubois. Dubois got a sickness. They hadn't really disclosed those illnesses that happened to both of the fighters that got replaced. It might have been that bug going around because, like I said, it had me out for like a week. So that's the only thing I could think of, because they're not disclosing it. Maybe that
now I heard a rumor too now that a lot of fight, even in UFC, when they go fight over there, some of them get sick and they have to get replacement fights too. There's something over there that they're not, like the food or something that they're getting over there.
I have no clue. Like I said, it didn't from the articles I read, it didn't disclose what illness it was, but it's supposed to be Dubois versus Joseph Parker for that one of those heavyweight belts. I don't think it was an interim. I think it was the regular, because we know Usyk is the undisputed, and you know some of those. I can't remember. I think it's the WBA has the super and the regular, or it might have been for the interim. I don't know. Don't quote me, but no belts were on the lines because Dubois pulled out a couple of days before the fight, and they had Martin Bacoli replacing them, and Bacoli looked like he might have just got off the couch because they said he clocked in at 300 pounds, and you could tell he was a little soft in the middle. But shout out them for taking this fight last minute, and by the way the fight lasted, but the length it lasted, you could tell that he probably didn't do a lot of training for this one. But the first round was kind of like a feeling out round for Parker. He was downloading information. Then late in that second round, he grazed Bacoli with that overhand right. And it was the weirdest reaction, one of the weirdest reactions to a punch I ever seen. Like he stumbled back like he like he was a 10-man or something. He like just stumbled back and then fell. And then the refs he got back up, the ref called it off. He looked like he had all his wits about him, but such a weird reaction. And he didn't hit him clean. It was so weird. Like if I was like a first time watching boxing for the first time and I watched this fight, I would have sworn that this fight, it was fixed by the way, like the way they showed the replay, and he like barely grazed him with that overhand right. You could really see where he even connected with. Steve, what were your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that was a kind of had a late knockdown when he reacted. I think it was behind the ear. He hit him behind the ear almost, or behind the head, connected with a short hook, and he fell. It seemed Bacoli, he was on I remember a winning streak, because I know I've seen him from previous undercards, looking at other champions pay-per-views, and he was getting knockouts. It's almost like they were comparing him to a George Foreman, you know, knocking him down, walking them down, you know, taking the hit as a bigger man, but then coming down and countering with the inside uppercut or something like that, and getting those dudes out there. I didn't know he was that much off the couch, and That's probably what did him in. Because from what I remember, he looks in better shape when he gets into when I saw his previous fights, he looked in better shape. But definitely landing that perfect punch and got him out of there. So big ups to him.
And Chris, I know you didn't get to watch the whole fight. I don't know if you saw any highlights. Did you see him go down with that punch?
I didn't even watch. I read about it. I figured that, hey, this guy just got off the couch.
It was weird. Go ahead.
I'm not even mad at it. I'm not mad at it. You know, they called you. Hey, we really need you. Really, he probably like, nah, I don't want to do this. You know, you really will pay you X, Y, and Z. Talk to his team. His team's like, yo, we can get this money. All right, let's just do it. Any harm, just get out the way. Felt some harm, get out the way. That was it. Go home.
And Steve, I saw the replay a couple of times. Maybe you saw something I didn't see. I didn't see it catch his ear. It looked like it caught the top of his head. I have to go back and watch it. I saw the replay a couple of times.
I just say it could have been top of the head, on the side of the head ish. That's what I probably saw too. I have to look specifically myself, but definitely hit him in the head area somewhere, and that probably concussed him. Probably more than getting hit because he took a previous hard shot a few seconds right before that, and then he shook it off, and then his dude threw one right down the pipe and caught him on the back of the head with a hook, and he stumbled and fell on his back.
Well,
he probably
go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, he got off that couch. He said, "I'm only gonna take a few shots. Anything more, I got to get back on the couch." He took them few shots. He said, "I'm out of here. I get it. Ain't worth it."
And like you mentioned earlier, Steve, I mean, this is only his second loss ever. The last time he lost was in 2018. So
he's been busy.
6-7 years ago. And like Steve, you probably remember him off the undercard for the Fury and Ngannou fight because he was on that card. That was in
dude named AJ or something like that.
He fought Carlos Takam. Carlos Takam.
Okay.
That was a little over a year ago. That was October 2023. So, I mean, he probably, like you said, he probably would have looked like he was in better shape if he would have had a training camp. But he was on the couch probably eating a couple Cheetos, and he got the ring. He was like, yeah, I'll pick that quick bag. Put 2 rounds in and probably got millions. I guess you can't blame him. But I'm guessing they're gonna probably schedule not a rematch, but they rescheduled the Joseph Parker Daniel Dubois fight, and that's the only really reasonable thing I can think of that happens after this, because can't give Parker too much credit as far as like fighting an opponent that people thought were more formidable. So we'll see what happens with that going forward. But let's talk about the main event of this fight, a rematch from a few months ago. There was a quick turnaround for this one for the undisputed light heavyweight championship. We had Dmitry Bivol defeating Artur Beterbiev. It was majority decision. And we'll get into, I guess, what the judges ruled in this one once we actually talk about the fight. But the way I scored this thing, round 1, I thought was close. I think Bivol landed the cleanest shots, even though Beterbiev was walking him down. But I gave it round 1 to Bivol. Round 2, Beterbiev continued walking him down, but Bivol threw some good counter shots. So I gave Bivol that second round. Round 3 turned into a firefight. And if you had the sound up, Beterbiev's punches sound different. Like he was like throwing some heat. Like you could just tell he was swinging. I gave that round to him. Round 4, that's when it looked like Beterbiev finally figured him out. I thought that was a dominant round for him, and he was throwing those power shots and starting to get through, and he was ripping those body shots. Those look pretty painful. And round 5, more pressure from Beterbiev. More big shots. It looked like something was wrong with Bivol's right hand. He wasn't really throwing it much in those middle rounds. I gave that round 5 to the Beterbiev as well. In round 6, Beterbiev came in hot then, but towards the end of the round, seemed like Bivol caught that second win and was stringing together some nice combos, and it ended with both fighters trading shots, and I think Bivol may have got the edge in that one. Round 7, I scored it 10-10 in that round. And round 8, I gave the Bivol. Round 9, I gave the Bivol. Round 10, I gave the Beterbiev. I had another 10-10 round. Round 11, I thought it was too close to give it to either fighter. And then round 12, I thought Beterbiev finished it off strong. And I scored it 115-115. But the judges didn't agree with it. One judge had it 114-114. And one judge had it 116-112. And the other judge had it 115-113. What were your thoughts on this one, Chris?
I think Bivol. I feel he won, which I wanted him to win. I was going for him because in the first fight, I felt like he fought the boogeyman in a sense, and the boogeyman almost like what Canelo fought. What's his name? Triple G, right? And it didn't go the way that everybody thought it was gonna go. Even though I thought Triple G won that fight, the first one, but I think Canelo was in there like, wait. This is what y'all guys are talking about? I think Bivol felt the same. I think he just like, wait, this is not – he's tough, but I could take this. So that loss that he took, I think he downloaded a lot. I think he did put more combinations together, even though his opponent threw more bigger shots, bigger digs. It just seemed like you said, you turn off – if you just hear the noise, it just seemed like, ooh, you're like, ah. But, the combinations were coming from Bivol. I liked how he fought. I think he was on his back foot fighting this time. Last time he fought on his back foot, he was just in defense mode. This time he was fighting off his back foot, throwing off punches, going to different angles. I gave him the win. It was close, but I gave him the win. So I think he just figured it out. He came with a different strategy.
Steve?
Yeah. I think I saw a similar fight to the first one, but both sides were able to take risks, and I feel like they both canceled each other out in a lot of ways. Took a lot of risk and were more confident in their approach. Bivol, he was in there, like you said, off the back foot, was more throwing more punches, and Beterbiev was he was doing a very good job cutting off the ring, throwing a punch and anticipating him trying to roll out of the punch and then just cut him off either to the ropes or into the corner. To me, because I didn't see the whole fight live, which, you can better see it that way. But to me, it could have went a draw easily. Like I said, I feel like both of them canceled each other out. You would say, I would say Beterbiev. I mean, like y'all said, y'all can hear the punches on both of them. Like Chris was saying, you're like pop, 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 like, ooh. You trying to see where he hit him, and you'll see some of them block, and maybe one might get through to the body. But it was a tense fight because you can hear the leather hitting the skin of the opponent, and I said that could have went either way depending if what judge was there. That's my opinion on it.
So I don't think the result was a robbery by any measure, but like I said, I thought it was a draw. This is in MMA and in boxing. Why are judges kind of shy away from scoring rounds a tie? Because I think a few of those rounds, both fighters, it's not karate point fighting. A lot of those rounds, you see nobody really getting the advantage over each other. Both of them throwing, both of them landing, not one of them taking a significant amount of damage. So why are judges so afraid to sometimes score rounds ties and do 10-10s? You don't see it in MMA either. Why do you think that's the case, Chris?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if they go off momentum. I don't know if they go off who's seen as the more aggressive. I don't know if they even judge the fighter on who the fighter is. Like, is this person aggressive? Why is this person not being aggressive? If he's not being aggressive, the fighter that we're known to see him as, I'm not going to give him that point. Or if he's not a defensive fighter, why is he not being better on defense? He's getting hit too much. You know, he might be throwing more punches, but he's getting hit too much now. I'm not gonna give him this round. I don't know if they're judging him on who they are, because I feel like the judge of Floyd Mayweather fight, you have to judge Floyd on who he is, not the fight, because he's not throwing that many punches. So you just hope, and he's dodging a lot. So if he don't get hit a lot, because most of the time the other fighter is way more aggressive in the fight. So you're just looking at how much is he getting hit. So I don't know. I really don't know how they're judging these fights. I really don't know. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see these guys judge it a 9-9 if it's even like that, or a 10-10, you know, not giving one fighter the fight, or 8-8, you know, if it's too close. Whatever. They gotta do something different.
Yeah, I know. I know a lot of times in MMA, I'd have to go and do my research for boxing. A lot of times you see draws. It's the way you see a draw is one judge will call it a draw, so I'd have to look at the judge that calls it a draw, but the other judge will score it for one fighter, and the other judge will score it for the other fighter.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. What do you think, Steve? Why are some of these rounds scored ties more often?
I don't know. Then based off of, I don't know. And maybe you would see it based off of an even round would be forced based off of maybe a point taken. You know, I don't know how many times points were taken in that forced to even round. But but as far as like just two people fighting without penalties, it's like I don't know. I mean, you would think that the same odds that you can get a even round, the same as you can get a differential around, like somebody has a more points for that round. You think you would get the same amount of, at least see ties, you know, in the beginning, and then they tire out and you start seeing the scores start differ a little bit, but you know, fights are different. But I think that would throw a little bit of a spice into the judging system by having that, and not so much trying to force somebody was better that round and make it okay if it was an even round. Yeah,
I know a lot of draws in boxing. You see it's because it's even. It's an even amount. I don't know why I haven't. It's an even amount of rounds.
How about
so
to say 12 rounds?
Yeah, so you'll see it. You know, it's, you know, they have one fighter won this even amount, and it'll be tied how many rounds they win, but you don't see a lot of tied rounds. And MMA, that's the only way you could really, besides a point being taken, that's the only way, because it's odd round of rounds. The only way you could get a draw is one of those rounds is a tie. So I don't know, but like I said, it wasn't a robbery. I don't think, even though I had it a draw. Do you think, a lot of people always complain about the judging in boxing? Do you think, even though the judges aren't supposed to be biased, like there's more incentive for a Bivol win if it's a close fight, so make that third fight, Chris?
Of course, but they could have did with a draw too. They could have did it with a draw.
Yeah, but if it's a draw and you're Beterbiev, you're like, I'm not gonna fight this guy for a third time. I beat him in a draw. I'm gonna go do something.
Well, the
else
draw don't really mean you beat him, right? It's an even fight. So
I'm saying I beat this guy the first time. I beat this guy the first time, and then the second time is a draw. I don't really need to fight him the third time right now. That's
true. But then who do you fight after him? Like, there's no other fighter for you, really. Like, no. I guess we're gonna get into that next. But
Benavidez wanted the winner of this one, but I think it would have been more of a chance if it was Beterbiev that won. So I
don't think he's getting that fight because they're gonna run this back probably.
Exactly.
Yeah. So around they're going for another one. This is 3. I doubt he walks away from this. You know, he just lost his title. This is his first loss, right? Arthur's.
Yep.
Oh yeah, he's gonna have to run this back. So yeah, that fight ain't gonna happen. They're running this. This is going for the third one.
And then the first fight was Bivol's first loss.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so this is perfect for boxing. Actually, this is a story. Now the next one wins it all. Now, if you draw the next one, forget about it. I don't know what to tell you. Really don't know.
All right, if they draw the next one, then they're gonna go for a fourth one.
That's what I mean. Now they're stealing money from the game.
Yeah. What do you think, Steve?
Yeah, but you only have so many bricks to lay with this road left. He won one of them lost and won one. You can go for the trilogy. Like I said, there's other options on the table for them, but I can see him do it. They did it with Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder. Boxing legacy stories makes boxing history. And plus, it's a highly contested fight too. That you didn't see the better of either one. Get to each other. So, maybe if it was a devastating knockout, they would leave it alone. But like Chris said, I mean, I think if they tie, if it draw in their next fight, I think they're just going to part their ways.
Yeah, I mean, you got to settle in the rubber match, so I won't be mad once because I think it's inevitable. I think they do a direct third fight, but for some reason I'm a little more intrigued. It would be Bivol versus Beterbiev. I think that would be an action-packed fight, but I think, like you said, Bivol was fighting off that back foot, so I think if he fought like a Benavidez, he'd be more on the defense like that as well. Because Beterbiev is known for taking the fight to people, but he couldn't really catch Bivol with a clean shot. So I don't know how that would work out for Benavidez. Like we saw, Benavidez likes to fight in phone booths. He likes to swing. So,
but he's also going up in weight with these guys that fought at this weight.
I mean, he's fought 2 fights at that weight. So.
But I'm saying these guys are fighting at this weight, so they're the big dogs on this weight class. So they're gonna look at him as the small dog coming up. So they're not. I don't think he's gonna be fighting no back foot. I think he's gonna be like, "Oh, you're gonna come this way? I'm gonna show you what it is."
I would love that. I would love if that's the case. Because
if he's taking these shots from what's his name, I think he'll take those shots easily. Either fighter that we just saw, they're taking the shots from each other like this.
But you said like we saw in this fight though, he was fighting off that back foot, making sure he didn't get hit with the big shot. You saying he's gonna come forward against Benavidez? I don't know. I don't care if Benavidez is coming up in weight. If you go in and try to go into that wood chipper, you're gonna find out quick.
Well, we'll see because they both hit hard. These guys, this is a good fight. And we got someone that beat Canelo. Right.
Yeah, I think Beterbiev hits harder than Bivol. Like Bivol, like he's slick. He's slick, man. He's a slick boxer. He gets in there and box. He doesn't go in there and slug it out. He's got power, but he doesn't go in there and like try to slug it out with people. He's very strategic. Like you said, he beat Canelo, but he didn't get Canelo out of there. Canelo's a lot smaller.
But he beat someone that's the boogeyman in this sport right now. That don't lose and that knocks out almost all his opponents. So to me, and he got in that ring twice with him.
Yeah.
So you're talking about taking a shot from the boogeyman and then taking a shot from a guy that's coming up in weight class. I like my chances of the guy coming up in weight class and taking a shot from the boogeyman fight. So
I just don't see him like changing his strategy if he fought Benavidez. I think he's he stick to the script. I don't think he would go in there and try to fight in the phone.
I think he can handle him. I think he can handle him. I think he's still got a lot to show in that weight class. I mean, he's going after the top dogs, rightfully slow because of his record, but he really didn't show us nothing in his weight class yet. And these guys are the top dogs in his weight class. So we'll see. His day will come.
Yeah, we'll see. But I don't think we see Benavidez mix it up with either one of these guys in the near future, at least not till sometime next year, because I think we'll see a rematch with this one come fall. So we'll be on the lookout for that. But before we get on out of here, we do have a fight this weekend. We got Tank Davis fighting Lamont Roach. And I think they're fighting for the lightweight title. I'm not sure which I don't know if it's for the WBA or WBC. because they in that division, there's no undisputed champion. So all of those guys, all four have a different are held by a different person, but they're fighting for the lightweight title. And Tank Davis, I mean, last fight he got the guy out of there, and people been like kind of clamoring for him to take a super fight, but Lamont Roach is no punk. I mean, he's coming in there. He's got his credentials. And what are your thoughts going into this fight this weekend, Chris?
I just got to pick a round where Tank's gonna knock him out in, right? 7, 8, maybe 9. I don't know which one.
You think it's gonna be a walk in the park for Tank like that?
I mean, we know what Tank does with these guys. He drains them. They can't you know how the weight thing is. They're not going in there full fight. So the fight Tank he got the advantage on you, you know. So I'm giving him the round 8 before he, gets wobbly legs and get up out of there.
I mean, Lamont Roach, he lost to Jamel Herring back in 2019, but he's been on a 6-fight winning streak since then.
Who did he beat?
In that 6-fight winning streak, he beat Neil John Tabana. He beat Daniel Rosas. He beat Rene Alvarado, Angel Rodriguez, Hector Luis Garcia. Exactly. And then he beat Fergal McCroy in this last fight. So,
all right, 7.
No huge names, but I mean, during that run, he won the WBA super featherweight title.
Tank and 7. Since you did name off the names you named, Tank and 7.
Well, no punches chance for Lamont
against Tank.
Yeah.
No. Tank and 7.
So it's for the WBA lightweight title, and Roach is going up because he was fighting at super featherweight, so he's going up a division to fight Tank. So
all right, so he might not have the weight problem, but now he's going up to fight someone that's used to fight at this. Yeah, Tank might be in 6 now. You just told me that. Play some parlay on this one.
What do you think, Steve?
Yeah, I'm not gonna doubt Gervonta. He looks pretty good in every fight he's done. Although I looked at Lamont Roach's highlight reel, and he can deliver a punch if you're probably on being lazy on the foot. So I think there's always a puncher's chance, but I think Davis has this.
You have a specific round you think he's going to get him out?
I'll give him more credit. I'll give him in between the 8th and 10th rounds.
Okay.
Yeah, not to disrespect Roach. Yeah, I see Tank getting a stoppage. I think it might go to the 9 rounds though.
9.
So all of us have Tank Davis getting the win. And once this fight actually goes down, we'll analyze what's next for Tank because he has options, but we don't want to count our eggs before they hatch. So he has to get through Roach first before we even speculate on what happened with him next. But that'll bring us to the end of the show, and we got to recap the Tank Davis fight, but it's not a lot of fights in between then, so we'll probably just do a quickie episode to recap the Tank Davis Roach fight. So, but that'll do it for us here at Haymaker Combat Sports. Make sure to follow us on all social media platforms. Make sure to like and subscribe on YouTube. Make sure to follow us on IG, Twitter, and TikTok, and all that fun stuff. But until next time, be safe out there. Later.